Hi, it's Ron Jackson for Acoustic Guitar. I'm going to be teaching you today about economy picking. And I just played you a little example of what economy picking is going to be like. So this is going to be fun. So I'm looking forward to teaching you, and let's get going. Growing up, I used to listen to some great guitar players like John McLaughlin. John McLaughlin would actually pick every note like this. You know, really, really fast flurries of picking notes. And another one of my favorite guitar players was Pat Metheny. He would go, he'd be picking and sliding and doing a lot of legato movement. And I actually knew Les Paul, and he was actually one of these guys that used to sweep a lot. You know, things like that. So he was really amazing. You know, all these guitarists are amazing. And I realized over the years that actually, in my case, I would actually combine all these little techniques: sweeping, alternate picking, and legato technique, which is just like hammer-ons and pull-outs that like kind of Pat Metheny would do, or slides. So we're going to be covering that in this whole weekly workout, which is called economy picking. Now, economy picking is basically just the best of all these worlds put together, so you can just play real fast phrases without actually having to pick every note like this. Or you could actually do a hammer-on. You could do those kind of exercises and ways of picking techniques and things like that. Or you can actually do, sweeping like that. Just those four notes I just did. You can actually do those three different ways, but in my case, I just mixed them all up and call it economy picking. So I'm actually kind of ghosting the note and just picking them so they don't sound as harsh like when you pick them. So that's how I got into economy picking. So let's get started with all these weekly workouts, okay? And let's get started with week number 1. This week I want you to do some rudimentary picking exercises. Okay, we're going to be actually using a C chord the whole time, most of the time, okay? And I'm going to suggest you using a metronome at a slow tempo and gradually building up the speed. And you're going to be holding this C shape for quite a long time, and I suggest that you really hold it down and concentrate on your picking for these exercises, okay? So here's example number 1. Before we get into that, example number 1A and 1B are designed for you to get accustomed to alternate picking. So alternate picking is basically down strokes, remember, toward the floor, and then followed by up strokes. You're picking toward the ceiling like this, down and up toward the ceiling, okay? As you play these figures, try to keep your wrist relaxed and your pick as close as possible to the string, okay, while you're picking the notes evenly. See what I'm doing there? I'm keeping the pick real close. So here's example number 1A. I'm going to be using the metronome at 60 with no 1, 2, 3, 4 beat. I'm just going to have the beat on 1 every pulse, okay? So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So in example number 1B, we're going to be actually hitting 2 notes per string, okay? Down and up. Now we're going to actually add the first string to this C chord. I'm holding the C shape the whole time. And be sure to keep your pick as close as possible when you're playing this, like this. Okay? So let me put the metronome at 60 again. So we're going to be doing down and up strokes, which are alternate picking. And let's play this. Ready? Example number 1B. 1, 2, 3, 4. In example number 2A, it's just going to be a little bit more difficult because we're going to be actually doing the alternate picking between 2 strings like this. So you're going to be playing a downstroke on the C and an upstroke on the E, and then you're going to go across all these 5 strings of the C chord and doing this. Like that, you see? So that gets a little tricky. You're going to go down, up, down, up, down, up, across all these strings, okay? So let's play example number 2A with the metronome at 60. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we get to example number 2B, and this is where we start using sweep picking, okay? Now sweep picking is when you play in the same direction across 2 adjacent strings. Sometimes you can skip strings too in some cases. So I'm actually picking all down here. Now also you would sweep up like this, up to the ceiling like this. So I picked the whole C chord going down and the whole C chord going up, all in the same direction. So that's sweep picking. So in example number 2B, this really shows you how efficient sweep picking is. So just to show you real slow, when you're picking the first 4 notes of the C chord going in this direction, actually the first 5 notes, you're doing all downstrokes. Then when you go back up in this direction, you're hitting upstrokes, all in the same direction. Okay? When you get back to the C, you have to hit that downstroke again. Like that. Okay? So that takes a little practice. And also I suggest when you sweep that you rest on the next string so you're already prepared. So I see that? I'm actually resting on the G string. After I hit this C note, I'm already on the E string. The E note, I mean the D string actually. E note there, 2nd fret. And I hit the E note on that string, and I'm actually on the 3rd string already, resting, you see? Watch this, see, I'm holding it down. I'm on the 6th string right now. Oh, that was the 5th string, excuse me. So that's a great exercise for your sweep picking, just to rest your fingers. Rest your pick. So in example number 2A, we started getting into sweep picking. Now sweep picking is when you hit 2 notes across from each other in the same direction on 2 adjacent strings like this. So I'm going down and hitting the C and E notes of a C chord, and I'm playing all downstrokes. So I'm playing the whole C chord like this, all downstrokes. When I go back this direction, I could actually play in upstrokes, okay? A good technique to learn is to make sure you rest your pick on the next string right after you pick it. Except when there's another string, you just leave your pick out in the air. See how I'm resting it on the next string after I execute the note? When I hit that C note, I'm hitting the E string and you can't even hear it. I'm just resting right on it. Okay? So, let's play example number 2B, which is actually all sweep picking. And we're going to be actually going like this. All downstrokes up to the E string, and then when you go back up, you're going to hit all upstrokes, okay, until you get back to the C. Like that. Okay, so let's do that with the metronome nice and slow. Here's example number 2B, sweep picking. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now in example number 3, we're going to be doing sweeps on 3 strings like this. okay? And then you're gonna go down like that and then up. What I did was I added a G note on the 6th string so you could actually play a full C chord like this with the G in the bass. So that's actually a C chord in the 2nd inversion, we call it. So this exercise is really great for your coordination of your sweep picking against 3 adjacent strings. So let's actually play example number 3 at metronome 60. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now our focus shifts on the fretting fingers. So we're going to be actually using slurs, which we actually call hammer-ons and pull-offs like this. You hammer on and you pull off, etc. So these exercises are involving slurs. So now, for example, number 4A features a chromatic hammer-ons. So we're actually going to go like this: 1, 2, 1, 3, and 1, 4. Okay, and then we're going to do that over and over. That's the first bar, and then the second bar is going to be 1 and 3, and then 2 and 4 with your fingers. So these are really great exercises for building up your technique. I actually used to use these exercises when I studied with a classical guitar teacher. We did all kinds of different, ways of doing this. There's so many different fingers you could actually use with slurs as well as anything that you pick too. So let's start with number 4A. We're going to use hammer-ons on this one, and we're going to do the whole example, 2 bars for each measure, okay? That's going to be repeated. Basically, it's 4 bars altogether, or 4 measures. Here's the metronome at 60. Example number 4A. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was week number 1, and we covered the basics of alternate picking, sweep picking, and slurs, which are hammer-ons and pull-offs. So let's go to week number 2, and we're going to be talking about you working towards economy picking using the G Mixolydian scale, which is these notes: G, A, B, C, D, E, F, back to G. So we're going to begin with alternate picking in example number 5. In example number 5, we're going to be playing the G Mixolydian scale with alternate picking, down and up. So let's play that with the metronome set at 60 again, and then see how that goes. Example number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I suggest also practicing example number 5 with upstrokes and downstrokes like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now in example number 6, you're going to actually be playing mostly downstrokes with a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs. And this is a really cool exercise to actually get you started into playing economy picking. So let's play example number 6, metronome 67. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, in example number 7, we're going to move on to sweep picking across 2 adjacent strings. As notated in example number 7, remember to angle your pick slightly for the sweeps like this. See that? And remember, that makes it a lot easier to play. So let's try example number 7. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So that's a little tricky to play because you have a lot of downstrokes, and then you'll do 2 downstrokes, and then you'll do the sweep, which are all 3 downstrokes. So you have to get used to thinking a little differently when you do these sweeps. Then you'll do an upstroke that's at a normal place. Now upstroke. Now upstroke, upstroke, upstroke again. That's tricky. Okay. Then you're gonna go to that C note with a downstroke, upstroke, upstroke, back to a downstroke. So that's a really great exercise to really practice your sweep picking across adjacent strings. Now in example number 8, we're going to be featuring economy picking, which is a mixture of everything that we just learned. Alternate sweep and slurs, hammer-ons and pull-offs. So practice these figures until you can practice them with ease and play them with ease, and then transpose them to other modes and scales as well. So let's play example number 8 nice and slow at the metronome at 60 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's tricky too because you have to hit a downstroke, upstroke, then you're going to hit a downstroke, do a hammer-on, then another downstroke, and you're going to sweep, upstroke, hammer-on, like that. Then you're going to hit a downstroke and do a pull-off, and then upstroke, pull-off, upstroke, sweep, down. So example number 8 is a really great way of playing economy picking. If you play this real fast, it will sound like this. Like that. Without having to pick every note. And that's actually sounds smoother than going. Or you can't hear that as clear because unless you're using distortion on an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar, you can actually play that with distortion and it sustains the notes. With economy picking, you can actually kind of mix it up. Okay, so that's a great example number 8. So that's week number 2. Let's move on to week number 3. So this week we're going to be exploring the approaches of economy picking on the A minor pentatonic scale, which is A, C, D, E, and G back to A. Now I chose this scale because it's very common in all styles of music, rock, jazz, blues, all kinds of music. So this is a great scale to practice your economy picking with. So let's actually get started with example number 9. So in example number 9, we're going to be using strict alternate picking for this exercise. And this is going to be all down and up. I'm going to slow the tempo down because it's pretty fast now at 46 because we're going to be using 16th notes. So we're going to use a tempo of 46 for this. So here's example number 9. All strict down and up picking, alternate picking. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. See how that's really fast now at that tempo because we're using all 16th notes. That's 4 notes to every beat. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and etc. Once you have a firm grasp of the A minor pentatonic in both hands, you're going to try playing it now with hammer-ons and pull-offs. You're going to use only downstrokes in example number 10. Note there's 2 notes per string. The configuration is really much easier to hit those hammer-ons and pull-offs. That's why the minor pentatonics are really cool, because they're easier to play. You can do the hammer-ons and pull-offs really easy. See it? So we're going to actually try that in example number 10. So here's example number 10. Metronome marking at 47. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you notice going up was pretty easy on every beat. 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 E and now when I went down, you got to hit that note on the A note on the 5th fret of the 1st string, and then I'm going to do pull-offs from here. Now those are not exactly on the beat; those are on the 1 E and etc. like that. So they're on the 16th note. They're on the 1 E and they're in the offbeats. Okay, so that's what's really cool about the hammer-ons and pull-offs. You can play them right on the beat or off the beat, and you can just play real cool phrases like that. Okay. Now in example number 11, we're going to be using sweep picking. This gets a little trickier. So we actually have to shift to the 2nd position, A minor pentatonic, like this, in the first part. Okay? To be able to play the sweeps going across this way down toward the floor, like this. Okay? Now going back up, or which is down in pitched on the guitar, we're going to be going from the 5th position like this. So you're going to go all upstroke. Okay? So the only time we actually play an alternate picking stroke is actually when we get to the A note on the 1st string at the 1st part of the phrase going up. Like this. Then we're going to go upstrokes this way, okay? Here's example number 11. Metronome marking at 41. 3, 4. So this week's last exercise, example 12, is a combination of all these techniques using the A minor pentatonic right here on the 5th position, just 1 octave. We're going to be going up the scale 4 notes at a time like this, etc. Now you can practice this with actually alternate picking if you want, or you can try to do hammer-ons where you can. You can do sweeping when you can. That's basically what I'm going to be showing you right now, is how to play this exercise with all those combinations of sweeping, hammer-ons, pull-offs, and alternate picking. So let's look at the first few beats of this. In measure 1, we're going to actually do a sweep down like this from the C to D, and then we're going to do an upstroke, then a downstroke to that note, okay, going up the scale like I showed you earlier, and then hammer-ons like this. Now we're going to do a downstroke like this with a sweep, and then you're going to do an upstroke. Then you're going to hit a downstroke on this note, okay? So it's like this. Then the next part is all hammer-ons. Okay, all downstrokes. So you gotta really hit those strings with you gotta really hammer on with a lot of force to get that note, especially if you're using your 4th finger. You can use your 3rd too. stronger, actually. So you got to make them sound equal, actually, your fourth or third finger when you do the hammer-ons. Then backwards, you're going to hit down, down and up. Now down, and then upstroke with a pull-off. Then I'm going to do a downstroke, and then another downstroke, which is a sweep. Then a pull-off. Now when you get to the next note, it's going to be an upstroke. And then down, up. So there's a lot of things happening in example number 12. So let's try playing this. Example number 12, metronome set to 47/8 note. 3 and 4 and. Welcome to week 4. So this week we're going to be using a 1-6-2-5-1 pattern in the key of F. In the previous weeks we largely used scales. So this progression is actually an F major 7 to a D7 flat 9 to a G minor 9 to a C7 flat 9. So if you don't know those chords, please look them up and learn those chords. And of course we're going to be in the key of F major. So we're going to be using lots of arpeggios, chromatic notes to keep you on your toes. So let's get started. So example number 13 shows you the lick with alternate picking. So we're going to work through this a few times to get it under your fingers and in your ears. Because of the arpeggios like the F major 7 in the first measure, it's very efficient to play the lick using sweep picking on the next example, but in this example we're going to be using only alternate picking. So I want to make sure you see that we're not only doing down and up all the time. Because for example, we're going to start with the first 8th note with the downstroke, okay, and then we're going to do up, then continue with alternate picking, okay. So that's the very first note that is kind of not in sequence all the time because it's off the beat. Usually when you play off the beat, usually you're playing syncopation when it's like an and of 1, let's say 1 and, you have the pick going 1 and like that. So in this case we're starting with the and with your downstroke so we can get all those 8th notes on the downbeat when we eventually get on the beat, which is on beat 3 of the first measure, the E note, like this, of the F major 7 arpeggio. Also in the third measure at the and of 2, which is the A note, that's going to be a downstroke, okay, instead of an upstroke, because that's an upbeat. And then we're going to go continue with a downstroke on beat 3 on the G, like that. Okay, so those are little tricks in example number 13. Here's example number 13 with a slow 64 quarter note on the metronome, and I'm making sure I swing the notes when I'm playing them since it's kind of a jazzy piece. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So in example number 14, we're going to be throwing in some alternate picking. So be conscious of the sweeps going up and down, okay? And then you're going to be conscious of also playing the alternate picking notes in between. Okay, so this is mostly sweeps until the end where the last measure is actually played with alternate picking strokes, okay? So let's try this. Example number 14. We're going to use the metronome at 64. Remember to swing your notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. example number 14, there was a shift from this position. Okay, and then we had to shift to play this sweep here. Okay, so that's when you're actually playing an exercise that has sweeps or a lick or anything like that you're learning. Try to accommodate a sweep by changing the fingering, because remember, on the guitar you can play the same notes so many different ways. In example 15, we're going to be throwing in all kinds of slurs, hammer-ons, and pull-offs. So we're going to have to accommodate our fingerings to be able to play these slurs. So I actually start the F major 7 with this arpeggio from the second position like this. I do a pull-off here. Now you do hammer-ons. And then I'm going to go to the D7 flat 9 instead of doing it the way we were doing it here. For the fourth position, I'm going to do the first position and play an open string. Now I'm going to shift back to the fifth position like this and do all these hammer-ons and pull-offs. Okay, and then all in fifth position. So now we have so many more slurs in this exercise. So let's try that with the metronome at 64 again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. One, two, three, four, 1. The very last example is example number 16, and we culminate everything with all the techniques: alternate picking, sweep picking, and slurs. So be very conscious about how to play this. For example, there's going to be a sweep starting up like this. Okay, and then we're going to go. Okay, and you're going to do a slur right here. And then you're going to go to a pitch note, and then a sweep, and 2 slurs right here. You can pick that note last. So it's tricky. Then you're going to do a pick, downstroke, and you can do a slur. Then you're going to go a sweep right here. Pick all those notes right at the end there. So it's a lot of stuff going on here, but naturally when you start playing these fast phrases on your own, you're going to be combining all these phrases with sweep and alternate and legato technique without even thinking about it. So let's actually try example number 16. Example number 16, metronome set at 64. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's taking it to the next level. Now this is an advanced 2-5 phrase going from D minor 7 to G7 to C major 7. And this works great with accompany picking. I actually do this a lot in my kinds of solos, in my kind of licks, okay? So we're going to start with an arpeggio, a D minor 7 arpeggio, and do a sweep. Then I do this line cliche, which is like a D minor, minor major 7, to a minor 7, to a G7 flat 9. So it's actually a line that goes through. And then we do an arpeggio through do a sweep up, and do a slur into the G7 flat. Then we surround the C major 7 E note there. And do these chromatic passing tones going down. And we're going to be using slurs through that. Here's taking it to the next level. Metronome set at 64. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's taking it to the next level. Metronome now at 131. A 1, 2, 3, 4. So that was taking it to the next level. It's always easier to play some of these phrases much faster. So I'm Ron Jackson. Thank you very much. I'm with Acoustic Guitar. It was really fun teaching you how to use economy picking. It's going to really help you play much faster and help your chops, we call them. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at another weekly workout or another article on Acoustic Guitar Magazine. Have a great day wherever you are. Thank you.